Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, we are getting ready to launch our second annual alternative sports season. It's a season where we give young people who are not necessarily footballers, sprinters, basketballers the opportunity to showcase their talent to St. Lucia and the rest of the world. And so last year we saw the inauguration of this initiative, and we saw all through St. Lucia chess competitions, Moto X, uh, bicycle races. We saw uh, a lot of different individuals participating and really enjoying their skill being on display. We saw even in front of government buildings, we saw some racing, some Moto X racing. You would have horse racing on the Kakabef this year. We are including drafts, we are including domino competitions, we are including darts as well. So it is an exciting time for our young people, as we know.
What are we going to do to try and elevate it?
Well, as a matter of fact, as a result of last season, we were able to have the first ever national team in drag racing. And of course, the Ministry of Tourism, in fact, Invest St. Lucia, has come on board to support some of our initiatives. One of the challenges we faced is a home for motocross. Considering motocross in St. Lucia and Martinique, there's that symbiotic exchange relationship between the two countries. And it really contributes to the overall sports tourism aspect of things. I think what we've built on is stronger ties with other countries, including Antigua, St. Vincent, St. Kitts, who will be bringing some of their athletes, and note I said athletes in alternative sports, to compete against our very best in St. Lucia. We're also expecting the gamers to really come to the fore in this edition of the alternative sports season, and I think that is where we've seen some strides being made again in St. Lucia. So we're really expecting to build on last year. The interaction with the different segments of the alternative sports sector is something that we continue to do through Craig Gustavo, who is the alternative sports officer. In addition to that, we've been having discussion on how we include the Karate Federation, in fact, combat sports, into our alternative sports season, because at the end of the day, the level of which we had combat sports before and what we have now, the ministry has been very concerned about how we continue to provide support to them, and we continue to allow the young persons to put their talents and their capabilities on display. So combat sports is something that we are working towards. It may not be in this year's alternative sports season, but we're certainly hoping to bring them in a large way next year.
So as you mentioned, alternative sports, there was once skateboarding.
Ooh, skateboarding.
That'd be something that
Thank you so much for that. We've had a number of meetings, Craig Gustav as the alternative sports officer, with individuals from the skateboarding fraternity in St. Lucia. I must say it's a very fractured sort of segment of alternative sports, because they're not able to come together to really have the sort of relationship that we want amongst the different sort of associations or the different clubs in skateboarding. So we've had difficulties in really bringing them together. It's an aspect of alternative sports that I think there's tremendous potential for in St. Lucia, but we'll continue to work with them to see how we can get them to really come together and do something significant, something that other people can look to in the future.
and we talk a lot about using the aqua beach facility, and all about windsurfing, this different sports and the patches of it, but we don't know why this.
So far, one of the major the challenges we faced in terms of the alternative sports is the financing. We really need corporate St. Lucia to come on board to provide some additional help. We invested, we've just seen a budget of about $250,000 to actually host the season and to provide support to the different organizations during this time. But for us to branch off into the the blue economy in sports. We need more and more individuals to come on board. Game fishing has done their part. They partnered with the alternative sports desk at the ministry to have that competition earlier this year. But in terms of surfing, and some of the other activities on the shores, we certainly hope that we can build towards that in the coming year.
As someone who lives in Rosedale and also the MP, I would imagine traffic congestion is making a real problem. Real problem for you as well as commuters. Just as an MP, what are the discussions you are having maybe with the infrastructure ministry and your cabinet colleagues to sort of address that situation? Because I know Rosedale's office has earmarked for a lot more development in the coming years, and I mean, if it's already so bad now, we have to start, thinking.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. It is something that almost daily I have conversations with the Minister of Infrastructure about, and of course the Prime Minister, in terms of dealing with that situation. Groseley, as you know, is the largest population in terms of constituency in St. Lucia, and it adjoins the largest population in terms of a district, which is Castries and Babonneau. So you will find with the over 200,000 vehicles on the road, at some point in the month, almost all of them would traverse the streets of Groseley. And I've always made it abundantly clear that we need to have some intervention on the Castries-Groseley Highway, in fact the Julian Hunt Highway. The fact of the matter is there was a plan for the Castries-Groseley Highway. There was an agreement with the Kuwaiti government to fund the Castries-Groseley 4-lane highway. And of course, we know an election happened and that was discontinued. In addition to that, we know that one of the things that would have been dealt with are feeder roads to ensure that it's motorable, so that persons have the option of using those feeder roads as opposed to coming on the Julian Hunt Highway. It's another thing that we encourage. In the meantime, we continue to await some sort of announcement on what will happen with the Castries-Groseley Highway, but I can assure you that the conversation, that the discussion, the costing, the sort of relationship and dialogue with the Kuwaiti government to ensure that we have something done on the Castries-Groseley Highway is something that we continue to explore, and we're certainly hoping that very soon we can start some intervention there.
So no, you haven't gotten any headway with the Kuwaitis in funding that project?
I think that is a question for the Minister of Infrastructure and the Prime Minister. They are the ones who have been negotiating with the Kuwaiti government. And more so the Minister of Infrastructure. They've never stopped, they've never relented, they've understood the fact that the Julian Hunt Highway requires and needs that intervention, considering the population center that is Groseley and Castries and Babonneau. And so I certainly hope, despite the error by the previous government, that we as a government can come to the public very soon and have some way or some form of intervention for the people of Groseley and all of St. Lucia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Start off with you asking any questions.
Well, last week we were waiting on details of the Iman.
Right.
Some more information about that. Deal that's in.
Yeah, it's coming this week.
No music, please. No music.
You mean
What's happening in your constituency? I know you usually have a lot of
things happening.
activities in
I haven't recovered yet. Well, I mean, we have presently, we've had 2 children's parties in Marigo, Basse Joseph. This week we have in Banan, we have in Cicero on Friday, and we have Woodlands on Saturday. We also have the distribution of hampers for the sick and shut-in, and distribution of vouchers for needy persons. From today, we're going to start our constituency cleanup. We'll have over 400 persons employed doing so. We also will be having our much followed black cake and sorrel competition. It is really becoming a major Christmas event for us. The different communities vying to see who can prepare the best black cake and who can prepare the best sorrel. And of course, we've had our men's group actually won it a couple of times, which tell you about our men and their abilities to bake. And we are going to end with our annual solo night on Friday the 22nd, in Bassett Joseph. It will be probably our biggest solo night. We have about 4 groups performing. So if you're a lover of solo music or you've never been to a solo, please do come and join us in Bassett Joseph. So we have a very packed Christmas season. Usually it is very, very packed. Yesterday we had football finals in Cicero. So it's really been busy, but exciting.
Okay. National Day, can we talk about its significance now? I know in time past we have established that Columbus did not discover St. Lucia on that day, which was why we originally had this celebration. Any plans to revamp it or give it a name or something?
Yeah. Well, the National Day really falls under local government and not under creative industries. And I think there have been attempts in the past. Initially it was called Discovery Day. That was dropped when it was found out that Columbus never discovered us on that day. It was the National Day. I remember in an earlier, a few years ago, Dr. Anthony told us, we tried to see it as the day of renewal, something of light. And now it is what it is. And we don't have any plans right now for rethinking of December 13th. So I can't tell you, yes, it will be, change in concept, whatnot. It's not a feature for us. In a symbolic way, some people see it as the start of the 12 nights leading up to Christmas. Some people tell you St. Cecilia's Day. That's really the start of the festive season. But it is one of those days, and I guess at an appropriate time. I've seen suggestions from some people it should be called National Heroes Day, the day when we celebrate our national heroes. Of course, we'll have to first select national heroes for us to then do that. But, there are a lot of possibilities as to how we can give that day greater significance.
So, for the festive season, we anticipate a bumper visitor present with the KFC, the way Ancillary yesterday, in terms of the communities getting involved, would there be, like I noticed, like the jetty, the waterfronts, would there be some project involved that eventually to kind of, upgrade or leave this kind of, this setting?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. Of course, you would notice this year for the ACT, it has been broadened and more activities have been brought in. And you spoke of Akin Ancillary for the weekend last night. And I think later on this week we have Export St. Lucia. We'll have a St. Lucia marketplace, again as part of the act, really displaying the best of St. Lucia. And I invite all of you all to be there. It will be an opportunity for us. And we're really doing that for us to add more life and to more character to the act. The act we felt, especially post-COVID, needed a boost, and that is in fact going to provide a boost. But what you said is important because we are presently discussing within government a very aggressive and very comprehensive plan to upgrade all the communities and what they offer. So you will see announcements, certainly when the Prime Minister makes those announcements. You will see a number of communities getting vital infrastructure that can help create livelihoods. We must constantly, and only this morning, I addressed the Tourism Insights Conference, which has been held at Sandals Grand, and if you get a chance, please go there. It is really the annual marketing review and planning session where they bring stakeholders from externally as well as all locally. Cultural, sporting, all different ministries to come together with the Central Tourism Authority to discuss how we're going to position St. Lucia for the next year within a broader plan. And that was one of the points I was making. Early next year, we will go to Parliament with a new tourism development bill. And that bill is designed to restructure the tourism industry. And for us, a key part of restructuring the tourism industry is putting our people first and creating that balance between ensuring we have economic development and our own emphasis on, conserving our environment, those are the issues, which is why the bill will focus a lot on a sustainable tourism industry. But the communities are central to that, so we have to provide communities with the infrastructure and the resources. And we are already providing resources for the CTA, the Community Tourism Agency. And now government will actually invest in infrastructure into the various communities. It's a little too early for me to list all those projects that will take place, but we will have a very comprehensive project next year to achieve exactly what you said, to uplift all the communities with infrastructure, where they can link in with the tourism industry and create more livelihoods for our people.
And in terms of this CTA, how broad is the workload? The officers, field
Yeah.
officers, they have...
Yeah, the city has been doing a tremendous amount of work, but I think on reflection, we a little slow to announce projects because we had to backtrack a bit. We invited persons who had ideas for community tourism projects to come and seek funding for it and technical support. And a lot of us come with ideas, but then now when they have an idea, we have to translate that idea into reality. That involves developing business plans, designing whatever project you want to do, getting DCA approval. In some cases, individuals did not own the land, so they needed to get leases for land and they had to obtain permission to use the land. So it was not a straightforward, you walk in, fast track you get your money and you launch a project. There were a lot of ideas. And then when we working with the individuals, we realized, no, they still have a lot of work to do. And as you can imagine, okay, let me give you an example. Somebody wants to do let me just get a simple one. A St. Lucian gastronomy experience in one of the rural communities with a fantastic view. And they have this idea, they have the training, they have all of this, they have a beautiful concept. Then you ask them, okay, do you own the land? No. Have you gotten a lease for the land? Not yet. Have you designed your kitchen? Not really, but I have some ideas. Have you sourced the equipment you need for your kitchen? Not yet, but I have some ideas. So you now have to sit down with that individual and say to them, okay, let's prepare a business plan. Let us now design the kitchen. Let us go and speak to the landowners. And that's taken almost 9 months, to go through all the processes. And because of that, we've had a little delay. But I think in the early new year, we'll announce about 15 projects that we have approved. And all of them are community-based. And that will be exciting. So it's been slow to kick off because of the nature of what's involved. But I'm really excited about it. Now, there have been some criticisms, and very shortly after, over the next few days, I'll try to meet with a lot of the vendors and to speak to them, and even some taxi drivers, because the vendors are a little unhappy, saying they do not get as many people as before coming in and spending money. So we are doing some research. We are trying to find out from the different stakeholders exactly what is going on, and to sit with them and say to them, this is how the industry has evolved, and therefore how do we respond to it? Because a lot of the individuals who come off the ships, from what we've been told, they're not necessarily so interested in going to a vendor's arcade to shop. In their mind, they've been to St. Kitts, they've been to St. Martin, they've seen some of the same stuff, they're not really interested. What St. Lucia has to offer that's exciting? The ATV tours, going on the P-tours, the mud baths. And they start listing us all the new and exciting, the chocolate experience. We'll be doing a CMOS experience. People are now coming off, not necessarily wanting to go to a vendor's arcade. So that's a big issue. Then some people say to us, well, look, we went to a vendor and we want to use our card. We don't want to use cash, but they can't take card. They don't have the point of sale, what's not. So how can you all address that? So we're gathering information because the vendors are critical for us. You have to go through the vendor's arcade. But you don't just put it that way, you have to design it a certain way. Some of you who travel probably will see how all the airports are redesigning their retailing areas to cause you to walk through, in a particular way, where you structure, where do you put what products. You don't get alcohol first, you get the perfumes, then you get the alcohol, then you get the chocolates. All those things are almost scientifically determined now. So we really need to sit down and to study it, because we need to support our vendors. Even the Castries experience, one of the projects we will announce involve a major project in Castries. We have to uplift the Castries experience, and if we can make Castries an experience in itself, and the vendors are part of that experience, they create new opportunities for them. Castries, there's a lot of work that has to be done in Castries, a lot of work. I don't need to say more. I think you all agree with me. So, we really have going through a very exciting period in tourism, in terms of redesigning the tourism industry. We have some big announcements in the industry, and some of the best times for tourism now.
Still on the Castries experience and vending, I think one of the complaints from the vendors and other people that even have to agree with, which is also the fact that I think St. Lucia not being one of the, first port stops,
Yes, major,
now
yeah.
being pushed back. So obviously if you've gone to all the islands, seen the same thing and coming down, you kind of want something different, not this. So
Yeah.
what has happened that St. Lucia is not, higher up in the port, as a port call?
Well, geographically we're lower.
Yeah.
We-
But
we-
we have ships now going to St. Vincent coming up to St. Lucia.
No, they suffer the same problem. That's why St. Vincent port calls are so low.
Mhm.
We need a so low. St. Lucia is actually the best performing in the Southern Caribbean. I'm not talking about Aruba, whatnot, but Barbados, St. Lucia, Dominica, St. Vincent, Grenada. We're doing the best because we have the best product. But we all suffer from it. What's going to help us is that Puerto Rico is reopening as a home port, which means cruise itineraries will start in Puerto Rico. And if you start in Puerto Rico, it means you do a 5-day cruise, St. Lucia will almost must be on that. Okay, if you do Puerto Rico, you do St. Martin, you do St. Kitts, you do St. Lucia, Barbados, wherever else, St. Lucia will feature. But if you start a 5-day from Miami, chances of St. Lucia or anybody down in the south will include it is slim. So we needed Puerto Rico to come back on stream, and I think Puerto Rico is picking up again, which would be very good news for us. And of course, with GPH coming on, that will be even better news for us and what we're going to offer. So I'm really excited about it.
Just briefly, when you mentioned the Castries market, I don't know if it's the appropriate forum, but remember there was the OECS had some plans, the former administration had plans for the development of the Castries market with the OECS with the harbour. But sometimes you have these plans and you have these big launches and then you just go. But then we had the vendors that was part of. Is this something that will be upgraded?
Well, I think you're right, and the OECS product, if you notice the container pack that's been built now, that was part of it. We need to look at it. And I must say, when I saw some of the plans, I wasn't exactly sure it would really solve the problem to say. I support the container pack. I think it's a brilliant idea. What was done by the last government was also quite good in terms of improving the conditions for some of the vendors, but we need to take another look at it. For us in St. Lucia, we have to, whatever we offer, put our soul, our personality, our culture as an essential part of it. Must. We shouldn't sell St. Lucia as just another shopping place. It has to be a mixture of being positioned in St. Lucia, exposing St. Lucia. So when people come and they sit at a bar, say under the market, whatever, they can hear St. Lucian music being played, there's St. Lucian food, their performances. And that's what I think we should really do in terms of Castries. The history of Castries has come alive. You now hear us talking about and supporting efforts to have a walking tour to Chaussee Road and going to the graveyard. How we can help regenerate those areas. The entire Chaussee Road, it started in the Dr. Kenny Anthony with the Walcott House. And imagine the Walcott House is still there, it's not being desecrated or vandalized. If we can regenerate the entire area, think of what it can do. So I think we have a slightly different orientation to what was being proposed. We want people and St. Lucia culture, St. Lucia history to feature in whatever we're doing.
So what has become of the Walker House? So what's going on with it?
Well, the monies that were assigned for it to complete the project under the last government was not used, and I think the CDB, that had assigned the money for whatever purpose, it was not used. Again, that's part of what I say, the thinking we have now of how we can revive it and we can create a new vibe, not just there, but all the way into Marshall. We're going to have a project that will do the Marshall Market, for example, to bring it back. It's just been abandoned for so long, and the Prime Minister is very intent on making sure we bring back, the Marshall Market as part of the offering. There's so much. Those of you who remember many years ago, we used to have an art and craft market in terms of a place where our artisans would do the leather work, and we still miss it, something like that in St. Lucia. Yeah.
What about the flights into St. Lucia?
Well, the flights are back on stream. I mean, if you look at the daily arrival numbers now, it's really peaking, and we're glad that Virgin is back on, and Air Canada is going to even increase further at the ending of this month. Air Canada will move to, I think, a daily flight out of Toronto, and that's fantastic news for us. So yeah, we're glad with the number of seats that we have back on. The flight out of Miami, we're now using a bigger plane. I think it was under 90 passengers, which is an increase of about 50 seats, so we welcome that. We still want more flights, but we also need more rooms, because we're going to bring more flights. But for you to get more flights, you need to have more rooms, and therefore we will continue to work to achieve both.
I know over the past years, your ministerial duties have, been a large part of what you've been, I guess, busy with. But back in 2021, you had spoken about some plans to address unplanned housing settlements in your constituency.
Yeah.
At that time, you said some preliminary work was being done. I just want to know where we are on that issue and what's happening there.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, a lot. And in the new year, there'll be a lot of good news for my constituency in that regard. It will start off with the relocation of the persons at the Bannan Bay fishing area. We are going to, we've done a survey and know who's there to relocate them. We are in very advanced discussions for the old cemetery, that those lands do not belong to the Crown, so we need to do that. Bannan area, Monlatok area, we're very advanced. We're not yet ready to make announcements, but my constituents will be very happy. Sometimes you mustn't talk a little too early, because you don't want your colleagues to get jealous and things. So, yeah, but we are doing quite a lot. I'm really looking forward to the Christmas season. As I said, we have quite a lot happening throughout the constituencies. We'll be having short-term employment, distribution of vouchers for the needy, children's parties, distribution of toys, and the Prime Minister, of course, really topped it up when he announced the tax returns, up to $40 million will be disbursed, between now and the first quarter of next year to St. Lucians who have outstanding payments from Inland Revenue. Well, I think 20 in the first instance, but the total
January and March.
also 20, sorry.
So your release starts off
40
40
million.
Yeah, because starting from the beginning.
It does not include it includes the prior disbursement plus.
Yeah,
this
okay,
disbursement.
yeah. So it's 40 for the entire, yes, yeah. So I think that's tremendous. When you think about solutions, we've been waiting for years to get back the tax rebates and not getting it. And so you can imagine the pensioners getting their one-time payoff, and the Prime Minister promising them an increase in next year's budget for their monthly pension, and for you to hear now that your tax rebate, some of you may not be paying your taxes because when the last time I said that, somebody from the media told me their salary is too low, they don't really to pay taxes. It was you, somebody told me that. So, but trust me, I mean, there are a lot of people that looking forward to receiving the tax rebate, and I think it's a tremendous decision by the Prime Minister to make that announcement, especially in those times. So, really looking forward to a very good Christmas season.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister. I now present Honorable Alfred Prosper, Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Food Security and Rural Development.
Good morning. I just want to take time to update the media on progress being made with regards to agriculture, specifically the banana industry. We recall in June of this year, 75% of the banana industry was destroyed as a result of Tropical Storm Brett. And we went through a period of what we call a food crisis. Our farmers had not been generating income for the last 5 months. But I want to report that based on information provided to me as the Minister for Agriculture from the Banana Management Unit, we are seeing an increase in production of bananas since the storm, and the assessment revealed that in week 51, that is how it is spelled out when we discuss bananas, that in week 51 we are seeing an increase in production of between 3,000 to 3,500 boxes per week, and over the next 8 weeks this is expected to increase to almost 9,000 boxes a week. This is very good for our farmers. As I mentioned, our farmers have not been generating an income for the last 5 months, but it is also good for the sector because we have a market that requires 15,000 boxes a week and we have not been able to get to meet that demand. I'm hoping that as we continue to provide assistance to our farmers, and you recall the government giving much needed assistance to the farmers after the storm in terms of fertilizer support and other support that will encourage them to get back into production. Whilst this is good news for us, we are seeing an increase of the black sugar disease, which has been a serious problem for the banana sector and planting as well. And we have agreed to tackle the hotspots, and the hotspots, from what we've been informed, will be the areas of Micoud, Dennery, and Cul-de-sac, or Roseau to be exact. We, as a ministry, we are trying our best to give some support to the farmers in terms of the oil spray, so that we can have the disease under control. Because it makes no sense for us to be increasing our production, but we have to confront a serious disease that can wipe out the industry. Now we know the whole impact of climate change. We've been seeing quite a bit of rains in the recent weeks, and that is one of the factors that will increase the emergent. What's it?
I said the rains are not normal. That's not normal rainfall.
Well, it is, but it is not a time that would be conducive for the control of the black skeletal disease. So we are hoping that our farmers would get some relief in terms of treating their plantations, their fields, so that they can continue to generate an income from bananas. I also want to take the time to inform the public of the commencement of what we call the contingent emergency response component called the CERC under the unleashing of the blue economy, and for agriculture an amount of $10 million was approved, and that program started last month for a period of 1 year, and we are hoping that our farmers, our fishers, and everybody in the agricultural sector will benefit in terms of responding to food insecurity. So we are going to see more fertilizers being procured for our farmers. We are going to be doing some drainage work in areas like Babono, Cul-de-Sac, and the Denver Valley. There are some primary drains that needed to be desilted and have not been done for many years. We are going to be introducing new bloodlines into our country, and that is swine, goats, and sheep. You would recall that the new Volet agricultural station is ready and set to go, and we are going to bring in new bloodlines so that we can begin a new, what we call an artificial insemination program that will benefit the livestock farmers. We are also going to provide water tanks to our farmers to support them in terms of their aquaponics and other forms of irrigation, because we know water security is very important in the agricultural sector. In terms of fisheries, we are going to provide support in terms of repairs to the ice machines that are non-functional, and I know my constituency of Denver South has one. We are going to provide what we call steel processing tables for our fishers, because sanitation is very important in terms of fish, and you do not want to see the conditions that exist on some of the pots where the cleaners prepare the fish and it's not sanitary. So we are going to be giving support to them in terms of fish display cabinets, fish storage boxes, new ice machines, and in terms of farmers, we are going to be supporting farmers in terms of, as I mentioned, the sealing of the primary drains and providing new labs for training and research, and we are going to be providing a lot of training for our fishers and farmers to ensure that they are equipped with the skills and knowledge to get into what we call climate smart agriculture. As we know, our agricultural sector is seriously under threat as a result of the impacts of climate change. So I just wanted to mention that aside from the progress that the farmers are making in terms of banana production, they stand to benefit a lot more under this UBEC $10 million project, which will be rolled out in the next year.
What is the update on Ocean Blue Ocean? I know in September this year we had announced that the government had given them a loan of $1.5 million to help in opening back the part that was closed.
Well, as you know, the loan was approved under the Economic Fund, and I know an amount has been withdrawn. I think it's about $700,000. Some of that is going towards the upgrade of the electricals at the facility. There was an outstanding amount of almost $70,000 that was given to the fishers. And I know quite a bit of it went to Lusulek because there was quite a high electricity bill that had not been paid for a while. So what we are doing now is to put the facility in order, and we are hoping that as soon as possible we'll see a reopening of the Ocean Blue Ocean.
So, what is the status with the honey industry? We know the honey production fluctuates, goes down, it's scarce, sometimes prices go up. But in terms of the sustainability of that industry, because it is important, the nutrients, the nutrient for that work, what would be work?
The honey subsector is very critical, and as you recall that last year there was an amount in the budget, I think it was $300,000 to give support to the honey producers. We have, as we speak, a small facility in Lakai. I think it has been there for the last 5 years, but we've been having a difficulty with getting the honey producers to actually occupy it. We just concluded the 2023 honey show, and we had a number of persons from the OECS who were present there because St. Lucia is considered to be one of the world's, especially the region, top honey producers. And that is good for us, but we still cannot meet the demand. You recall just this year, one of our young men, I think he's from Soufrière, he was considered as Diamond Soufrière, and he produced the best honey in the world. It was or in the region?
34
countries, yes, in Europe. So it tells a lot about the industry as a subsector, and we just need to give more support to the producers to ensure that we continue increasing our production and being able to meet our market demand.
Minister, since you're industry, egg industry, how is it doing? We understand there's a issue, especially price, the reason of price. You know, Christmas season coming around. What can you tell us?
Well, you know, around this time, I think 95% of people are into the cake making. And so the demand for eggs is always, there is always a shortage around this time. I'm hearing of a price increase, but I'm yet to confirm this. I'm not sure. But what I know is that we are experiencing shortages, which is normal around this time of year. But the egg subsector is very important for us. This time, there is always a higher demand for eggs because of many people being engaged in so many cake making, black cake and fruit cake, etc., etc.
I know you spoke about the banana industry. But I think CMOS is on pace then as the most lucrative agricultural produce for the year in terms of exports and the generation of revenue it brings into the country. What are we going to see more to ensure that it expands, continued growth? Since it's performing better at this time, should we maybe pump more resources into that avenue than maybe?
As you rightly said, CMOS is a very fast-growing subsector. We have more than 400 persons, especially in the rural areas, involved in CMOS. We currently have 65 exporters of CMOS. But what my fear is about the CMOS is the quality and standards. You have a number of people, the drying of the CMOS is not the best. And whilst you mentioned putting more support, we've given a lot of support to the CMOS farmers in recent times. I remember sometime in May of this year, we gave 70 plus drying tables to the CMOS farmers in Savans Bay. Because if we want to really create a product that will be sustainable, and St. Lucia being known as a country with the best CMOS in the world, we have to take advantage of this opportunity. But what I believe that is lacking in the CMOS subsector is value added. I would like to see more of the processing done locally, and so we can export rather than focusing more on the raw material. A lot of focus is on the raw material being produced and then export. But I believe if we can get into more processing of the products, so the CMOS gel, the CMOS rum, the CMOS cake, everything we can produce from CMOS, I think it augurs well for us as a country.
How have farmers responded to the support that was provided after Tropical Storm Fred? Because at that time there was a lot of talk. Some critics said that maybe it wasn't enough. Some people said whatever. But what are your thoughts on what have you seen based off, I guess, you interacting with the farmers, how they have used that subsidy to assist them, I guess, revitalizing their plantation?
Initially, there was the discussion that it was insufficient because in 2021, we paid farmers per acre at $800. But this time we paid them $50 short, and they were saying that the previous government paid more. But I must say, in my engagement with the farmers, they were very thankful for the support. As I speak, we still have some of those funds left, and we are focusing on providing that support to our CMOS farmers because we did promise the CMOS farmers $500, and we have not started that payoff. But from all indications, our farmers were very happy because apart from giving them the financial assistance, we give them fertilizer and we give them the nematicide, we give them free oil. So the support has been there, and we will continue as a government to provide the support to our farmers because we believe that this industry is very, very critical to St. Lucia. And so based on that, you see the production has started. Farmers are ready to sell. I met with all the exporters last week, Thursday. We discussed the challenges in terms of the exports, and some of those exporters have begun exports. I know Barbados, there was a shipment that left for Barbados last week, Wednesday. So we are making progress, and I believe the assistance was welcomed by the farmers.
I know you said production has gone up, but where are we in terms of, I guess, the recovery of the industry? Because it was, 75% of it was destroyed as a result of the Brexit. I remember you made a comment because of the way they bent, it would have been easier for farmers for the plants to revitalize. So where are we in terms of that recovery thrust of getting back to where we were free bread?
Yes, we are not there yet. As I said, 3,500 is way below what we were exporting before bread, because we were exporting about 7,500 before bread. Now we have 3,500, hoping that we can increase to 9,000 in the next 8 weeks. As I mentioned earlier, I believe it is important for us to meet the demand of the 15,000 boxes. But we must continue to provide the support to farmers. We must continue to engage them, and we must ensure that we produce the quality standards that is required by the market. But there is a high demand for our fruits in the region, and the focus on the British market. We tried as a government when we came in. We did, Honorable Emma Hippolyte and myself and the team, we went to engage the buyers up there, but we were not successful because of the supply chain issues that made it difficult for us to continue. But we have in the region a viable market for our bananas, and I believe we need to give all the support as necessary to the banana farmers to take advantage of this market.
But there's the shortage of bananas threaten our export agreement with the region. So for example, if we're supposed to meet a quota of boxes, does the shortage prevent us, or is it threatening our agreement?
No, not in any way, because there are other areas in the region like Colombia and so on that we can import bananas from. But it would be very nice for St. Lucia as one of the only countries in the Caribbean producing bananas to be able to meet the demand. Now what we need to do is to increase our acreage, because our acreage stands at just a little over 2,000 acres. If we increase our acreage, continue to provide support to the farmers, we should be able to meet that 15,000 boxes per week, which I think is something that we can achieve. I just wanted to close by saying, for those persons who are saying that there is an absence of food on the supermarket shelves after Thomas, I just want to remind them that if they go to the supermarkets now, they will see the green bananas, they will see the ripe bananas, they will see the dashing. Sorry, after bread, sorry, my apologies. So we are seeing an increase, and once you have bananas on the market, there is enough food that can be secured for local consumption.
Presents Honorable Emma Hippolyte, Minister for Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives and Consumer Affairs.
Thank you, my sister. Short and brief, I hope. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Thank you for having a short discourse with me. From the Ministry of Commerce, I'm going to speak on just two issues. Our MSME loan grant facility, and you know this is our flagship program at the ministry. Just before coming here, we just had a meeting between the chairperson of our evaluation committee, the general manager of the St. Lucia Development Bank, and our staff to try to ensure that we meet our deadline of trying to complete all applications so that we can prepare for the second calling. As we told the public, we're trying to have the second calling sometime in January. We're still looking at this. It's a big challenge, but I can tell you that we this morning sat and tried to put a plan of action in place to try to deal with all the backlogs. SLDB had some challenges because they had moved from one premises to the next, and that impacts because they had a new system as well, so they had two things going on. We agreed on how they are going to improve on that. They've raised some challenges, and one of them is that in disbursing some of those loans, some of the invoices that were presented to the Ministry of Commerce in May, June are now dated. So what I want to inform the general public, if you had applied to the Ministry of Commerce under the MSME loan program, and you have not, your application, you have not heard from us, I need to tell you that we are working urgently to process these applications. But if in your application you had any invoice at that time, could you please try to get a more current invoice for us, because that is delaying the processing. So if you had an application for an MSME loan grant facility and you had invoices that were dated May or June this year, please just get another set of invoices, more current, and bring it into the ministry. So that will facilitate the processing. So I want you to do that for us, and I want you to be comforted by the fact that we are working to do all in our power to ensure that we process your loan application. So that's the MSME loan grant facility. The second challenge we have within the Ministry of Commerce is, as you go around, you have persons talking about, well, the price, the high price of food on the supermarket shelf, and the Honorable Prime Minister has directed that we have what we call a public consultation on inflation. And that is important, so that what we are going to do, and that is taking place this week, Thursday, and it is at 9 a.m., between 9 a.m. and 9:30 to 12:30 p.m. And we have a very strong panel. Our facilitator is Dr. Adrian Auger. And we would have persons from representing Manufacturers Association, Chamber of Commerce, and others. What we are hoping is, and what we want to do is to invite you, the general public, to pose pertinent questions, comments, and recommendations to our panelists. This may be done live via relevant social media platforms or submitted to Ms. Franny Monrose via email at the Ministry of Commerce, and that is franny.monrose@govt.lc. It would be good if you send these emails ahead of the session. This discussion will be aired as well on the National Television Network and live streamed via Zoom and the Government of St. Lucia Facebook and YouTube pages. So all the persons who have been talking about bagay share, bagay hold, bagay kosa, ça c'est prenez une chance pour commencer à parler de toute question que vous voulez demander. Mais jeudi, 9h30 pour midi et demi. Okay, that is extremely important. I invite all public servants, civil servants, teachers, nurses, tutor pagal, vendors, everybody, and members of the media. As on Thursday, prepare all your questions.
No, I was actually hoping, coming out of the meeting, what are you hoping to get out of it?
We asked that, we have comments. One of the things we are going to try to do is to explain to John public the whole issue of the supply chain issues. What is causing some of the delays? For example, if you hear a person say, the last time I heard we had a discussion on the shortage of rice, and then one of the commentators was saying that we don't have rice because the government of St. Lucia do not have the money to pay for the rice. And you know that was not true. Okay. So the conversation is to explain to people some of the challenges that we have when we import. For example, we nearly had a shortage of sugar, but we were able to manage that by getting some sugar. We have our main supplier of sugar, and that is Guyana. And Guyana had some challenges in terms of shipping to us, and we had to get some extra from our sister ministry in St. Vincent. So I'm just saying, but then, when we get the sugar from St. Vincent, it is at a higher price than at the negotiated price of Guyana. And all of that, the government of St. Lucia have to absorb those extra prices. So I feel that conversation is going to go into a level of detail with the public to explain to them what is happening and why the government of St. Lucia and why the Prime Minister has them to try to consider eating more bananas, which is still relevant. I don't only more bananas, but I want to tell them to eat more dasheen as well and other things. Things that we grow here. Okay? Because we can have all the money in the world if we can't get the item from Guyana, whether it's in the region, Brazil, wherever we're getting it, across the ocean. To us, it is a challenge. Yes.
I know you were hoping through the consultation, to I guess, apprise the public on the whole issue of inflation, and I get the feeling that we're attributing some of the high prices to mostly imported inflation. But when the Consumer Affairs Department did that investigation into the price of the sanitary napkins, a lot was revealed then about maybe some of the practices that some businesses may be involved in. Doesn't, as a minister to you, doesn't that maybe raise some red flags, like, okay, if they're doing this to this commodity, aren't there other commodities that that this is happening to? Now, I understand that government cannot put everything under price control, but doesn't it maybe raise flags in the sense that maybe government needs to change its tune when it speaks to the business or something of that sort?
Well, you have answered half of the questions that you raised yourself. We have to be careful that government cannot provide all the items because of the nature of the economy that we have. Government have to rely and be partner with the business community. As a Minister for Commerce, and I stand in a very strange position because I'm the minister on both sides. I'm the Minister for Consumer Affairs and I'm also the Minister for Commerce. And that is why when I came in, one of the first things I did was to try to strengthen the Consumer Affairs Department as well as to establish what we call the National Consumers Association. And I'm hoping that all you press persons there are members of the National Consumers Association because you are all consumers. And if you all are not members, then try to get Ms. Dr. Technofix to get yourself registered, because as consumers, you have power because you have the cash, and so that's important. As the Minister for Commerce, I also need to tell you that the business community have their own challenges. So I want them, because you'll have persons representing the Chamber of Commerce, so they're going to present their own challenges. So persons go into business to make a profit, and what do? Generally, that's what they do. They are going to put the highest markup on the items they feel that the customer must purchase. That's what happens. So, what we want with all this conversation is for the business community to sit with us and say, okay, we have an economy, we have quite a bit of imported inflation. How do we sit and ensure that our consumers in St. Lucia gets a good deal? And how, at the same time, our businesses make a profit so that they can pay the persons that they employ, that they meet their expenses, and that they can continue to be in business. So it is a win-win situation. That is why when members of the press was trying to sort of ask me questions or push me to a direction to have a war with the business community, that is why I said to kill that line of questioning, because I don't intend to be at war with the business community. I am the minister responsible for commerce, and I'm also the minister responsible for consumer affairs. And I have to stand and walk a straight line to ensure that our consumers are happy and to ensure that our business persons are happy.
Just one quick please.
Yes.
As you mentioned, the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
I know you don't have direct, control over it. But when the Chamber of Commerce also involves agriculture
And agriculture,
and
yes.
industry.
Yes.
But you find that the Chamber of Commerce, to me, they are distant from the agriculture sector.
All right. I do not
from
want too much to comment on it. You have on Thursday, God willing, there will be a member representing the Chamber of Commerce and Agriculture. You will pose the question directly to him or her. Yeah? But that is the opportunity we are going to give you on Thursday, God willing. So we'll have open conversation and try to address, because we are in this together. And what we are trying to do is to get solutions that all of us are happy. So I'll speak a little on what is happening in my Soufrière. In Soufrière for us last night, I am hoping you saw it, it was live. We had the opening of our Christmas village. Who saw it? Oh, very good. Yeah, I'm sorry. We had the opening of our Christmas village, and I want to take this moment to thank the SRDF and the various sponsors who actually came in. We had a bit of the weather, apart from despite the weather, we had a massive crowd. The people of Sufre came out, and we started the Christmas. The school children did a fantastic job. I want to thank as well the principals and teachers of the various schools. They took time, you could see they took time, they prepared their students, and that went very, very well. The second area I want to speak to you about is, you spoke about food a while ago, and you know the Foshijac area in Soufrière is the dashing capital of St. Lucia. So what I'm doing is to work with the Ministry of Agriculture to see how best we can support our dashing farmers. We've had at least 2 meetings with them. We are getting the support of Export St. Lucia as well, because we've gone out there and we have identified markets for dashing, and what we're trying to do is to expand the dashing acreage. So we've met with them, we've met with maybe just about 50 farmers, and we have our extension officers on the ground trying to first get data in terms of what is already on the ground, and to establish those persons who are going to participate in the expansion program. And the third thing I want to speak about is our roofing and home repair program that continues at Barons Drive. So far we've identified and we've completed about 28 houses in Barons Drive, Soufrière. I want to take this moment to thank the Minister for Finance and the Minister for Housing for that support. It is a critical project, and I tell you, when I went down there and saw the pile of rotten boards and plywood, I think I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's a side by itself. It is a story by itself. All I'm saying is, when we came into office, we took a decision. Our theme was putting people first, and I'm very thankful that we have continued to put the people of Soufrière first and the people of Barons Drive, Palmis, and Marketplace first. Thank you, and let's continue to keep the people happy.
Gentlemen, good morning. Over to you.
My first question, can I have 2 minutes if you want to?
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah, sure.
But I think the heads of the government of CARICOM had a meeting recently to discuss, I guess, that brewing situation over in Venezuela and Guyana. What were the outcomes of that engagement? What's St. Lucia's position?
Well, as I have said before, that St. Lucia's position is basically the CARICOM position. We go in with CARICOM on that matter. It's a very serious situation, very concerning to CARICOM and to the government of St. Lucia. Very concerning. Guyana is the member of CARICOM, and Guyana and St. Lucia are good friends with Venezuela. Venezuela have done many things for us. The Albert Bridge, the laptop program, they helped in the STEP program. So Venezuela, in fact, just want to make it clear that Venezuela was one of the first countries we established diplomatic relations with. It was in 1979, and there was a visit to Venezuela by Sir John Compton, then Prime Minister, and his postal assistant at the time. They had a visit to Venezuela. So Venezuela and St. Lucia have been friends for a long time, so it's not a new friendship. But we also are very close to Guyana. Guyana is a member of CARICOM. Guyanese nationals live in St. Lucia, many of them. Many St. Lucians went to Guyana to work. So it's a situation where we find ourselves among a quarrel among our friends. And that is the reality of the situation. But again, we believe that that controversy must be settled peacefully. Peacefully. We are hoping that this long-standing controversy, discussion and dialogue, so we're calling for discussion and dialogue, and we're asking for both parties to respect international law, to respect, Guyana has said that they're going to be following the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice. Venezuela hasn't accepted it. We think that all actions should be kept at a level so it can't escalate. So in the meantime, we are asking for dialogue, we are asking for discussion, and the maintenance of the region as a zone of peace.
They are meeting on Thursday in St. Vincent. Are you hoping that it's a good sign and a good
They are meeting
solution?
on this, yes, they are meeting on this. That's the CARICOM. You see, we're not doing this individually, we're doing it at a CARICOM position. CARICOM is hoping that things. And I'm very pleased that they're meeting. You see, the difference between human beings is that we can meet, we can talk, dialogue. That's what
And what message would you like to send to
I
what
just
message
said-
would you like to send to both of them?
I just said, let us try to solve that controversy by peaceful means, ensuring that the region remains a zone of peace.
Yes. You reiterated the call for the bigger nations to be mindful of the plight of the smaller nations in your COP
Yes,
20
I
address.
surely did.
And then also there was an international news broadcast saying that it had been rewarding, it had been fruitful. From your perspective, what is it?
Yes, but the loss and damage fund is a fund you have been calling for the time. The United Arab Emirates, the UAE, and Germany made a cash injection. But that's far from enough, far from what we need, very far from what we need. And we know that they've made, and we thank them for that, we appreciate them for that. But you know also that there was also pledge $100 billion a few years ago that has not been done. But that's a specific loss and damage fund. And you know, and I think in the region, and St. Lucia in particular, I don't think that that our discussions are focused enough on climate change. We're doing a lot of things, we're saying a lot of things, but climate change, I don't think our discussions against, especially mitigation against climate change. I don't think we are educating the public enough. I don't think we are speaking enough about what are the effects of. But I'll tell you something. Our entire country can be wiped out. And as we right now we appear to be fighting for political power. You know, that whole thing can come to zero with a hurricane. And it's a real situation. And we seem to, and I don't think we as a region, we as a country are taking it seriously enough. Speaking about the effect of climate change, what we have to do. Speaking about conversion, cabinet only last week converted to give concessions for hybrid vehicles. You understand? Extended these concessions. It's a threat that as a country, and I want to urge you members of the press, I know it doesn't sound very exciting, but I want to urge you to try to educate people. The government even tried. Today in cabinet, we're going to be looking at the Electricity Supply Act. It's a long-standing matter we have to deal with, Electricity Supply Act. To see if we can amend it. We can amend it to ensure that renewable energy can become easier to get in the country. We have the climate change bill. This is part of our work we have to do for the international financial institutions. We're working on alternative means of financing. We launched a blue bond at COP. We launched a blue bond. I mean, St. Lucia has actually put itself now in the blue bond market. This is a significant achievement. And I think we have to pay a little more attention to these things as a country.
It's all well good that, yes, concessions are being given for the hybrid and electrical vehicles. Do we have the infrastructure to support the influx of these vehicles coming to the country?
One after the other. We've got to get people in them, because you know the fire service has some training for electrical fires. When in fires, you have to one after the other. The infrastructure will come. Nature hits a vacuum. You understand? That's why we changed the electricity supply. That's why we changed it, so that we can get all these infrastructural components. We're talking about areas where you can get batteries. They're short. You know, there's a whole supply issue as far as that's concerned. Even though you want to order electric vehicles now, you'll not be able to get them for a few years. You understand? So we have to put the infrastructure in place, and the supply chain issues still exist. You understand? And it looks like it's going to get worse. What is happening is that I don't think we as a country understand the impact of international affairs on our small island. I don't think so.
But shouldn't the infrastructure be put in place so that people can then bring
The infrastructure because supply chain issues. There's a shortage of batteries.
the charging ports?
You have to supply chain supply. We have to get them going. We are getting them going, but it takes time, and you have to change that usually supply has to happen, which is happening now.
Okay, Prime Minister.
But I understand what you're saying. We need to do that. But you're right. But you need to also encourage solutions to think that way. It's very important.
Okay, Prime Minister, the World Health Organization, WHO, is concerned about alcohol and sugar consumption. And they're saying that they're not taxed. Do you believe that
we just change? You know, the surprising thing is that I don't know whether we follow what the Minister of Finance says, you know. I see a big fuss now being about tax refunds, where you get the money from tax refunds, a big fuss. I know St. Lucia is surprised. I know that. I expect to be surprised. But that was a budget statement the Prime Minister of Finance made. You see, when the Minister of Finance reads a budget statement, so, I know before that Ministers of Finance have put taxes on, promised to put it in the lockbox, never put it, and that has continued with them. But this Minister of Finance, why is the Minister of Finance? When I make a pronouncement, I make a pronouncement about health and security there. Everybody has forgotten what I said, deliberately. I heard somebody say it on the radio, it wasn't in the budget. I mean, and the sad thing is that people are allowed to say this and get away with it. That was the big part of the funding of the budget. The health and security level 2.5%. I made that clear. I said what it's going to be used for. I said it's going to be used to fund health and security. And that was in the budget. The tax refunds was in the budget statement. Remember, we said in the manifesto that we'd have given $4,000 of tax refunds. Anybody follow the paid. We came back, and not well. We came back. The Minister of Finance came back and said we could not do $4,000 because of cash flow problems. But we paid over 2,000 people, I think $2,000 or less or something of that nature. That was in the budget statement. 3,000. That was in the budget statement. And we also said that we're going to continue doing it. We're doing it this year, and there seems to be a problem.
So, just to be clear, you're not a magician. You didn't go to St. Kitts, to the ECCB, and have the money printed magically.
No, this is a promise the government made, and the government prioritized to pay the taxpayers their refunds.
So it's not a loan,
it's not a loan, it's nothing from the Saudi, it's nothing. It's the government, through its prudent financial management, can pay the taxpayers, which is due. And tell you something, there were many taxpayers who they didn't even worry to go and collect their refund checks. So now we ask them to collect it. So there's no magic. The magic in saying that something we just pull out of the hat, we didn't. It was a budget statement by the Prime Minister. In part, the whole tax reform situation. We also talk about amnesties. We seem to forget that. We waive all the penalties and fines on people, even on VAT. So when this loud noise about health and security levy, as if the government just imposed things without saying what the government did. The government did also. The VAT is money collected by people on behalf of the government. People did not pay it in. We waived it. I've not heard many people say that. We waived all the fines and the taxes. The fines and the penalties on VAT. All. We waived all the fines and the penalties on income tax. For the private sector, This is an injection of funds indirectly, because these are liabilities, not contingent liabilities. They are current, they are payables that the private sector owes. We strengthen the balance sheets. We strengthen the balance sheet so they can go to the bank and say to the bank, my liabilities have decreased. Because any prudent accountant would have had to make an allowance for fines on taxes. When I worked at BTC, we did that. So on the balance sheet, there is an account, taxes due, arrears of taxes, and fines and interest. We waived all that, so the balance sheet is stronger. We also increased the threshold for people for income tax. We said it would be done for $4,000. We do it in stages. We're doing it now for $2,000.
So can we expect in the next budget cycle?
I'm not saying when in which cycle, but we intend to keep our promise. You understand? So I think what you should have, there's so much in a haste. You see, I think what is happening now, I think the commentators are in a maze as to how this government has operated over the last 2 years. They're in a maze because a lot of things are done. You remember they said you're going to be able to pay civil servants. They said I won't be able to attract investments. They said I didn't have international profile. They said all that. All that is proven wrong. This country, the interest in investment in this country has never been higher. It's never been higher. Never been higher for a long time. The interest for investment in this country. You understand? We talk about GPH. GPH is something we spoke about all the time. It's nothing new. The Minister of Tourism spoke to the cruise lines about GPH, and there are people who are deliberately going out there. And it's an indictment at some people who are deliberately going out there and spreading false and malicious rumors about the government just because the people of St. Lucia have made their choices. GPH is nothing new. The last government spoke about GPH. They had discussions. They thought they went as far as Europe to talk to GPH. GPH is not a new company. So, I sometimes it concerns me how selfishness is taking over in St. Lucia. It concerns me. Selfishness. It really concerns me. It really concerns me. We have a country to run. I have made the point that Philip J. Perry is not to be Prime Minister all his life. I've made a point several times. This thing is a cycle. There's a time when Philip J. Perry will not be Prime Minister. The people either reject him or he will reject himself. Yes. That time will come. You understand? Why can't people accept the fact that the people of St. Lucia chose a new government? Why is that so hard to understand? I mean, the kind of things I hear, it blows my mind. There was a reduction of VAT. Not the price of one thing went down in the supermarket. I heard there was analysis done on inflation. That analysis comes from an economist from space. How can you analyze inflation and completely forget the price of the good at source? This is crazy. I mean, I know there are some people who've been economists, engineers, sociologists, psychologists, without going to school to study that. But it's a shit. And we take these things as will, and we repeat it, We repeat it. I mean, this is crazy. Inflation in the world has never been higher. For decades, inflation was running at 6.4%. Never been higher in decades. It's never been higher. We import most of our food. When I made a point about import substitution, I was ridiculed. I made a point about conversion of cassava into power food. I was ridiculed. I was ridiculed about the use of local products, our bananas, ridiculed. Inflation is worldwide. No one has told me, none of the economists have told me, and the commentators, how do you control 6.4% inflation coming in? How do you control it?
Not even around you.
How do you control it? I mean, so it's sometimes, but we're doing damage to this country. When we, look at the things young people are doing. Almost going, not observing that. Young people are producing. Look at the youth economy. This might just got something prepared by somebody. Young people going into all kinds of production. And we need to encourage them. The elections will come. They have to come. It's a process. Elections must come. But why are we creating such an atmosphere of this, an atmosphere of anger? Why are we doing that?
Speaking of encouraging, Prime Minister.
Yes, we have questions.
Okay. Well, let me just a quick one. Caracas income and your income and economic structure, triple B plus adequate. Is that magic, or what does that mean when a country gets that rating for Caracas?
Again, we made a point to make that these are not things that I said. Caracas has made a point that, of course, we want to be A. We like to be A. We like to be A. And we've spoken about the downside risk involved. We've spoken about that. But for now, Caracas has said it's adequate. But there are some downside risks, which we say all the time. We talk about our overdependence on tourism. We speak about climate change. We speak about crime. These things are the downside risks. But the fact is, Caracas has said that the economy has performed adequately. It's a fact. But there are downside risks. We made that point all the time. We've always spoken about these downside risks.
Yeah, I know you touched on the conflict earlier on, but I remember back in October when you went to Venezuela, we had signed off alongside of the two ministers, I think it was Albert Martis and Stevenson King at the time. We signed off on a few arrangements and agreements.
These have been put on hold till January.
Okay, they've been put on hold. Okay, well,
Yeah,
thank you for answering.
So the CARICOM Imminent Persons Group, they're returning to Haiti.
They are there now.
Yeah, can you give us an update on what's happening? Because the last time around, not much was.
Haiti is complicated.
Yeah.
Very, very complicated. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you what. Haiti is complicated. Haiti is complicated, you understand? Haiti became complicated from since Toussaint Louverture made Haiti the first black republic in the world. They've become complicated. And I know this is an offense to say the word black. That's an offense. When you say black, you're a racist. It's an offense. I mean, I don't know how we've got in this country. Anytime you say the word black in St. Lucia, you are a racist. I don't understand that. Anyhow, that's what we've loved in St. Lucia. But since Haiti became the first black independent country, Haiti has been constantly a problem. An issue. You understand? It's historical. Right now, that history has reached rock bottom. Gangs are taking over, but we have three prime ministers: Kenny Anthony, Minis, and Golden. They are in Haiti as we speak. The problem with Haiti is that Haiti cannot get together a coherent, cohesive government. That's the problem. And Haiti, there have been discussions on another peacekeeping force coming to Haiti. That hasn't worked. I don't know what happened now. Kenya has agreed, but the Kenyan courts have said that no, the government has no authority to do it. So it's a whole complicated. It's Haiti, sadness me.
I wanted to go back to what you said about the Venezuelan talks. You said it was on hold until next year. Is there a reason?
No, the Venezuelan, the three things: the flight, the urea, and the housing is on hold until January.
Is there a reason?
No, we just thought it's better to put it on hold let's talk and see what happens.
Does it have anything to do with the current crisis? with
I think that
Venezuela?
it doesn't have anything to do with the current crisis directly, but I think it's time now so to let things settle. Sure.
Going back to Haiti, your former Prime Minister suggested that Haitians might not be too proud to publicly declare their nationality.
And he's very correct. I mean, it's sad. Haitians are some people, the most proud people. And that's why Haiti, because Haitians are too proud. Haitians are very proud. I mean, that was sad. You know, and these things are said, and the people get away with it. The first, you know, that is the sense of this guy's history. What that guy knows about our struggles. Haiti was the first black independent country in the hemisphere. They declared themselves free from slavery before anybody else. Before anybody in Europe had declared Haiti free. Haiti declared itself free. And this guy is saying that people are not proud of their Haitians. Haitians' pride is at a point that is never, I mean, that's why Haitians object to foreign interference. That's Haitians. So for a gentleman to make a point that people are shaming from Haiti is sad. And this statement should be rejected and condemned. And they may even sound racist. I know you will use that. You will use that against me. That statement speaks to racism. The first independent black country in the world. You say these people are not proud to say they are from Haiti, and we accept that as a country. We accept it, you know. I mean, this is sad. It's pathetic. It's the same way we defend being products of somebody else's country. We defend that all the time, and we look for all kinds of stories about it. I mean, these things are almost heartbreaking. I'm ashamed of these statements. And I want to completely disassociate myself from that. Haitians are proud people. Haiti has some of the world's best resources. Haiti has some minerals that don't exist anywhere in the world. Haiti is one, in terms of mineral resources, natural resources, Haiti is one of the richest countries in the world. And you're saying people are ashamed to from that country? And you'll accept it? Anything more? Sorry for.
On a more positive note, it's December, stimulus, you have a number. What can the general public expect in terms of stimulus in December?
Well, you know, we have our tax returns, tax refunds. We have a massive cleanup program happening in the country. So, but the rain seems, although they might say don't use the rain as an excuse. They might say don't use the rain as an excuse, but I don't know if you can clean up in rain. But I guess they say don't use the rain as an excuse. But the fact is, the rain has disturbed. We have a massive cleanup project. You notice we started some road repairs, some blocking of some potholes. Again, the rain comes, but don't say rain. But the fact is, the rain is disturbing the potholing. A massive cleanup, you have tax refunds. We expect the tourism industry to pick up just about this time. Our forecast for next year is very, 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 very good, looks good. But so we're hoping that we have a very good Christmas. And we should be seeing.